Why do we compare ourselves with others? I was thinking about something the other day. Why is it that sometimes another person's life can disturb your own peace? Someone gets a promotion and suddenly you start thinking about your own career. Someone gets married and suddenly you start wondering, what am I doing with my life? Someone looks beautiful and then you look at yourself differently. Someone buys a beautiful house, travels somewhere, becomes successful, and somehow, without that person doing anything to you, you feel a little smaller. Have you noticed this? And I'm not saying this as a criticism. I think all of us experience it in some form. But I find it very interesting because if you really sit with it, you will see that comparison is rarely about the other person. It is more about what their life makes you feel about your own. That is where it becomes interesting. Suppose you see someone who is very successful, their success, or the thought, maybe I am not successful enough. Someone looks beautiful. Is their beauty really the problem? Or is it the thought, maybe I'm not beautiful enough? Someone is loved deeply. Is their relationship disturbing you? Or it's something inside you saying, why don't I have that? So perhaps the person is only the trigger. The real thing is happening inside us. And this is why simply telling yourself, don't compare yourself with others, doesn't really work. Because the mind does not stop just because you give it an instruction. You have to understand, why is it comparing? Why is it looking for? What is it looking for? And what is it afraid of? What does it believe it will finally get if it becomes better than someone else? And sometimes, if you are honest with yourself, you will find something very underneath, very simple underneath all of it. You want to feel that you are enough. You want to feel secure. You want to feel worthy. You want to feel seen. You want to feel that your life is going somewhere. And somehow we have started using other people's lives to answer these questions. We look outside and say, when I have what they have, then I will feel okay. But think about it. Have you ever reached something you desperately wanted and felt wonderful for some time? And then after a while, it simply became normal. And then the mind found something else to want, something else to compare, something else to chase. This is the strange movement of the mind. It keeps saying just one more thing, and then I will be happy. One more achievement, one more person, one more purchase, one more compliment, one more milestone, one more person telling me that I'm doing well. But if your peace depends upon being ahead of someone else, you have given your peace to something you can never control. Because there will always be someone ahead of you, someone younger, someone richer, someone more attractive, someone more intelligent, someone more successful. And if you keep measuring yourself that way, there is no finishing line. So, what do we do? I don't think the answer is to become completely indifferent. You don't have to stop admiring people. You don't have to pretend you don't care. You don't have to say, I don't need anything. I'm perfectly content. If you are not, you are not. Be honest. If someone inspires you, let them inspire you. If you see something beautiful and you want it, acknowledge that you want it. But then ask yourself something. Do I really want this? Or have I learned to want this? That's a very different question. Because we are constantly being taught what to desire from childhood, by family, by society, by advertising, by social media, by the people around us. We are told what success looks like, what beauty looks like, what happiness looks like, what a successful marriage looks like, what a successful career looks like. And slowly, without even noticing, we start living according to somebody else's definition. And then one day we wonder, why am I not happy? I have everything I was supposed to want. Maybe because what you were taught to want and what your inner being actually needs are not always the same thing. This is where I think the yogic idea of Vivek becomes very beautiful. Viveka means discernment, not simply knowing what is right and wrong, but learning to see clearly what is right and wrong. To ask, is this truly mine? Is this desire actually coming from me? Is this really necessary? Is this bringing clarity? Or am I simply reacting to what I'm seeing around me? And when you start asking these questions, something slowly changes. You don't have to become less ambitious. You don't have to stop growing. You don't have to stop wanting a beautiful life. You simply become more conscious about whose life you're trying to build. Because there is a huge difference between saying, I want to become successful because this is meaningful to me, and saying, I need to become successful because otherwise I will feel inferior. Outwardly, both people may work very hard, but inwardly, they are living completely different lives. One is moving from clarity, the other is running from the inadequacy. And perhaps that's the real question. Not how do I stop comparing myself, But why do I need another person's life to tell me what my own life is worth? Sit with that, because maybe your life is not behind. Maybe it is simply different. Maybe your path is slower. Maybe it is quieter. Maybe it does not look impressive from the outside. Maybe you are building something that nobody else can see yet, and that is okay. A tree does not look at another tree and think, I should grow in exactly the same direction. It grows according to its nature, its soil, its season, its conditions. And perhaps human beings have forgotten this very simple wisdom. We keep looking sideways when life is actually asking us to look within. So, the next time you notice comparison arising, don't immediately push it away. Just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? Maybe there is a desire there, maybe insecurity, maybe fear, maybe something you have been neglecting. Look at it, not with judgment, with curiosity. Because once you understand what is happening within you, you don't have to fight the mind so much. You begin to know it. And perhaps that is where freedom begins. Not when you become better than someone else, not when somebody is ahead of you, not when nobody is ahead of you, but when other person's life can remain their life. And you can remain completely at home in your own. Namaste.